once we get that right, which is for me the most important thing, that they have, first of all, respect. The second one is commitment. The third one, passion. Those three ingredients are non-negotiable.
Hello and welcome to the Non-Negotiables podcast. I'm Gavin and I'm joined today for the first time from his new home in Europe. Justin, how you doing, Juz?
Hey, Gav. Doing all right. How are you?
Good, mate. Before we start, Juz, me and Pass promised the audience that you'd give them a little insight into what your move was like and the shenanigans that went on. So can you just take us through your move to Europe? Because it sounded fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, we didn't hire a moving company or anything. So everything that we packed, we basically checked on the airplane. So we had about 6 big bags, and then we have 4 animals, 2 pretty large dogs and 2 very large cats. A day before our flight with KPN, they canceled on us. Their alternative flight was kind of rough. We had a direct from Miami to Amsterdam for our original flight, and they couldn't give us a direct. They also couldn't guarantee that our pets would be on the same flight. So we got rerouted to Madrid, and then we were supposed to jump on a plane about 3 hours later to Amsterdam. They couldn't accommodate us with the pets, so we had to taxi to a Madrid hotel and spend the night there with all the animals, all 4 of them, and all our bags. And that was really difficult to find a cab that would even take us. Then on, I don't even remember what day this is, Tuesday morning, I think, we slept in, we missed our alarm. With the last taxi, or the taxi that we needed to be on from the airport to the hotel, or from the hotel to the airport, we had to be on it at 5:30. We woke up at 5:23. So we scrambled. We actually did make it. I mean, it's just crazy. The amount of like walking that we did with these animals and all these bags, just me, my wife, and my 6-year-old was nuts. Anyway, so we, everything goes okay in Madrid. We stood in line for about 90 minutes waiting on someone that could actually check in the pets. So that was fun. But then getting to Schiphol, Amsterdam's airport, me and my wife each had 2 like luggage trolleys, and you have to hold the thing down to make them go. The brake is automatic when you release it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to do with like one hand. So we're doing that through the airport. We're getting all these looks. I mean, it was just a mess, man. And we barely slept, the whole time. Even loading the pets up into, we had transit arranged from the airport to our home in Haarlem, Netherlands. And even that was crazy. I mean, the whole thing, I mean, I'm sorry if it's not a funnier story, but it just like, it was insane, the amount of misfortune that we had. And I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, it does. It sounds like it was a fun trip. So you're gonna do it again next week. Where are you gonna move to next? Thinking Paris or maybe further afield. Maybe take yourself to Tokyo.
No, it's actually really funny. My wife today said she said, so can I go ahead and start like planning our Christmas vacation? And I was like, I'm not going anywhere for a while. Like, let me just.
Well, you made it there safe, and all the animals are safe. So that's the main thing, and the kid's safe, and you're all ready to go and start again. So good stuff. Well, we're glad you made it.
Yeah, so thanks, man.
Yeah, back in Arsenal world. I actually spent the weekend in Rhode Island. Big shout out to the Rhode Island Gooners who hosted me at the Hope Street Pizza restaurant where they watch their games. There's a nice bar there in the back that everyone sits around, and that was really good. Had a great time there, met some cool people, and that was really good. It was just a shame about the result, really. So let's talk about the week, Juz. It's been a mixed bag this week, really, because we had a bad result at Villa in a game where I didn't think we played badly. Then we had a good result yesterday in a game that I could barely be bothered to watch. I'll be honest, it really wasn't even gripping my attention. It was just a game that had to be got out of the way. Where do you stand? How do you feel at the end of this week? Because I was pretty low on Sunday. I think Pass was even lower than me, which is unusual. But where do you stand now? Now the dust has settled a little bit.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough one. I think, obviously the Villa result was really rough, and especially, just the salt in the wound of it being Unai Emery, kind of coming back to haunt us. But I don't really have any, complaints about the PSV game, honestly. I mean, we topped our group. We're through to the next round, the knockout stages. We were able to get, some fringe players in. I thought Reece Nelson looked really good. Overall, I mean, I just really hope, now it's all about bouncing back in the league, right? I mean, we have to bounce back in the league. We've got Champions League done till next year, till February. And, if we can get 3 points in the next game, I think it'll be fine. It'll be mostly forgotten.
Yeah, let's take the Champions League first. I think it's the easiest way, because the Champions League was already done and dusted, basically. We were already through top. That game didn't matter. There's been a furor about Mikel not bringing the kids on. I didn't expect him to bring the kids on. I've got to be honest with you. We know at this point what Mikel is. I also think there might be something that we don't know in terms of the sports science. I've never been a big believer in rest and rotation anyway, but it seems like no big clubs believe in rest and rotation. Even Bayern Munich, who had a dead rubber at Old Trafford last night. They played it at walking pace, but they put a first team out. Like this idea of rotating in the kids, it just doesn't happen these days.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only downside to being in these elite competitions. And I don't know if it's, just recency bias, but I feel like we've seen a decent amount of kids, blooded in, because we've been in the Europa League, for several years now. I mean, Saka and Smith Rowe came through in the Europa League. Eddie and Reece have gotten a lot of their minutes there. And
we had much smaller squads then, though, to be fair. Like we've got 2 11s that you can put out. I mean, I know we're missing a couple through injury at the minute, but we have a big squad.
Yeah, we do. We do have a big squad. And I like, just personally, I would have loved to have seen more of the kids. Sosa I've barely gotten a look at, and Nwaneri, would have been great. But I don't have any anger, frustration about it. I didn't expect it either. I'm with you. It would have been a nice, positive, but it's just unrealistic at this point.
The only bit that kind of, I guess, made me go, oh, really? Was bringing on Jesus on 87 minutes.
Yeah.
To me, that just seems utterly pointless. If you're going to do that, just bring Nwaneri on.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? It just, and I've never understood this with the rotation when they put players on the bench. Like, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't do it half-assed. Why take Jesus out there and make him play 3 minutes? It just, that I find kind of bizarre. But it is what it is, and we got a draw. And I was just finishing reading, actually. Do you know how much Arsenal have earned so far in the Champions League?
No, I haven't seen it.
77 million euros is what they've got so far by playing the group stage. 4 wins gets you 4 win bonuses, and then that includes playing in the round of 16. Obviously, that'll increase the further you go. But as it stands right now, 77 million euros is what Arsenal have earned from the Champions League. So that's kind of what we've been missing being out. That's why we spent big to get back in here, because now all of a sudden we're leveling the playing field a little bit with some of the teams that we're competing with, because we've been out of it for a long time.
Yeah, wow, that's a Havertz and a sixth of another Havertz. That's pretty good money.
Exactly. So, I mean, in terms of, like I said, we knew we were through top. So we're going to get someone who's second. So it became a little bit clearer last night. So our possibilities are Copenhagen, Napoli, Inter Milan. And then it looks as though right now it's either Atletico or Lazio. It's It looks like PSG from Group F, but that obviously all depends on what happens at Newcastle today.
Yep.
Leipzig are definitely second in the Manchester City group, and then it looks like it's going to be one of Porto or Shakhtar Donetsk. Out of that lot, I'm assuming we would all like to see Copenhagen come out of the hat after our name.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want Donetsk like Shakhtar. I feel like maybe this is recency bias, but I feel like we've had some rough results there, haven't we? Like in the past, it just seems like a.
Well, it's a long journey.
Yeah.
It's going to be shit weather, which obviously it's going to be in Copenhagen as well. And to be fair, it also will be in London at the end of February.
Yeah.
But it's it's not going to be as bad as it is in Donetsk. So it's going to be that's I think I agree with you. I don't want Shakhtar. Other than that, I'm not really bothered. I guess you can say Napoli maybe are the scariest out of the.
I favor us still against Napoli. Maybe Atletico. Maybe they've kind of fallen off though, haven't they? I don't really follow La Liga very well.
Yeah, I mean maybe that PSG. Obviously, if they finish runners up to Dortmund, then PSG could be the team that you kind of not fear but kind of don't want. But in all honesty, there's not really anyone in there that I would fear.
No, I have to agree. I mean, especially over two legs, I'd pick us over just about anybody. But I mean, I guess I'm a fan too, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but like I look at this Champions League, and I see three teams that can beat us in this Champions League. I see Manchester City.
Yeah.
I see Real Madrid.
Yeah, and Bayern.
No, us.
Oh.
I think if we lose to Bayern, it's because we've decided to lose to Bayern. We've done exactly what we did at Villa Park when we should have put the game to bed and didn't do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty possible. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I get your point. Bayern would be one that I'd want to avoid for sure, at least until the later rounds. But yeah, I agree. Madrid and City are the ones I don't want.
And even with Madrid, it's just because they've got this weird voodoo in the Champions League. I don't know what it is about Real Madrid and this competition. They could field a team of drunken guys from the pub the night before and still win in this competition. I don't know what it is, but they've got something in this competition.
Yeah, it's really insane, their performances. I mean, I remember was it last year or the year before where they really weren't playing that well.
When they won it the year before, they were awful. They should have been battered by PSG. They snuck through. They should have been battered by Chelsea. They snuck through. They should have been 4-0 down against Man City inside about 20 minutes and managed to sneak through. And then they beat Liverpool in the final.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane luck. You know, it's like their name is pretty much almost always written on the trophy as at least a shot every season, no matter how shit they are.
Yeah, Liverpool have got a little bit of that in this competition as well. I've seen some bad Liverpool teams go pretty far. I mean, the famous one in Istanbul, that was not a good Liverpool team that won it that year. So, there's just some teams have got something with this competition, and of course, we don't have it with this competition. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are probably the biggest club never to have won it. I would say we're the biggest club never to win Champions League. You reckon?
Yeah. I mean, PSG's never won it, right?
No, but they're not really a big club. They weren't even founded until the 70s. They're just a little provincial club with sheikh's oil money. They're not a big club.
Yeah,
so I think we're the biggest club never to have won it, and I would love to see us put that right this year.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as I want the league, I think there's just something special, kind of more exotic about the Champions League. And
for me, it's because I've never seen it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen us lose one, but I've never seen it. I had a season ticket for 5 league titles. I've been very, very fortunate with that. I've been to Wembley, seen FA Cup wins at Wembley, seen it at the Millennium Stadium. But I've never seen a Champions League win. So that is the one thing that I really, really want.
Yeah, and this doesn't matter at all, but it is kind of the one stick I feel like rival fans have to beat us with. Is
100%.
Well, yeah,
I think that does matter. I do think it does matter. We've said it countless times. Our record in Europe is nothing short of disgraceful. for the size of club we are. It really is an embarrassment. It's a stain on the club. And I think we need to start putting that right. And I do think this group of players have got a chance.
Yeah, I do too, especially, I mean, hopefully this year didn't come too soon because I think our competition is all a little bit down. But I even think, we've, like you said, we've got a good shot this year even.
Yeah, and we'll be back in it next year. I mean, I'm not worried about a top 4 spot. Yeah, I'm not overly concerned about a top 4 spot. Like, there's no, I do not see a world in which 4 teams finish above us in the Premier League unless something truly weird happens.
It's funny. I don't want to get us off track too much, but it's funny all the people popping off about Villa now and if they're title contenders and that they're pretty much a lock for top 4. And
I ain't finishing top 4. They ain't finishing top 4. I tell you that now.
I don't think so either. But I was listening to the Athletic Football podcast today. They had Ornstein on there, and just all of them were just going like nuts about Villa and how great of a manager Emery is and blah, blah, blah.
Listen, we've seen this movie before and we know how this movie ends, right? We know how this movie ends. You've seen it before. You've seen it at nearly every club he's ever been at. He has a spell like this at some point and then it goes drastically wrong. This is his MO. I mean, even the last season at Villarreal, he got to the semi-final of the Champions League and finished 12th in the league and didn't win an away game all season. We know how this movie is going to end. What we don't know is at what point does the plot twist come.
I agree, by the way, but his underlying metrics with Villa are better, or quite a bit better than they were with us. But I noticed his away record is still pretty shaky.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I've seen a few Villa games this season, not a ton, but I've seen a few. And I watched the one where they won at Tottenham a couple of weeks ago, which was hilarious. I loved them winning at Tottenham. I thought it was fantastic. Mate, they should have been 9-1 down at half time. Spurs had 3 goals disallowed that probably were right. I think 1 or 2 of them were tight, but they missed chance after chance after chance after chance. Villa should have been absolutely battered that game, and they've come away with a win.
It's Spurs, mate.
Exactly. So they get battered even when they're at home, and that's the thing. But it's this it isn't going to last. I guarantee you, it isn't going to last. We've seen this before. We know how this ends.
There was one statement I wanted to bring up. This is from Ornstein's mouth, which is why I feel like it needs to be said. But he was talking about Emery, and he said, and then when Arsenal sacked him, it came as a shock to him. And I literally had to like stop what I was doing and just be like, what? It was a shock? I mean, we were dreadful.
Yeah. Oh, it was the worst time of my Arsenal supporting life, was that. Particularly that second season under Emery was the worst. I sat through 0-0 draw after 0-0 draw in 94-95 under George Graham when it was going wrong there. I sat through some awful times towards not even the end of Arsene Wenger, what should have been the end of Arsene Wenger, but he still dragged it out for another 5 or 6 years at this point. I remember Swansea at home when Michu scored and we lost 2-0 and we're all coming out and we're saying, well, that's got to be the end now. That's got to be the end now. And it wasn't, and it carried on and carried on. But that few months at the start of Emery's second season before we finally got rid, that is the lowest point that I can remember as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been a fan as near as long as you, but same for me as well. I mean, it was just torture. I didn't even, I mean, I still watched every game, but I didn't enjoy like a single one of them, maybe that North London derby that year, the 3-2, was that the,
yeah, but this is the thing with this. I don't understand how we still keep getting mentioned in the same breath as Emery all the time. He was with us for like 16 months. He's a tiny, tiny little blip on our history. It's nothing to do with us, how he's doing at Villa. I don't like Unai Emery. I'll be blatant and straight up about it. I don't like it. I don't like what he did at Arsenal. I don't like him as a manager. I just don't like him. But it's nothing to do with us how he's doing at Aston Villa. It would do if he'd have stayed with us, we might have got relegated. It was the right decision to get rid of him. It was the wrong decision to hire him. But whatever, it's done. I don't understand how every single thing he does is contextualized in a way to slam us. I don't get it. I don't understand why this need to constantly link him with us. 16 months, that's as long as he was here. He is a tiny little blip on the history of Arsenal Football Club. So forget about it.
I think it's more about Emery himself. I would say his worst performance as a manager was Arsenal.
He failed to win the league at PSG, and that's a difficult
pretty
achievement
bad.
too.
Yeah. But I mean, I would say, considering like the Europa League and the horrible second year, I mean, it's more of a blip on his career, I think, than it is about dragging Arsenal through the mud. But you also know, anytime Arsenal, United, those kind of clubs get brought up, it's more hits, more links. It's all clickbait.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see any other manager out there that spent such little time at a club that everything they do has to be seen through that prism. That's just the bit I don't get. Like there's no other manager that this happens to. So I don't get it with Emery, but I'm just, like I said, I'm just glad he don't manage us anymore. Let Villa do what they do. I think they've had a great start to the season. They will fall off, whatever.
I read an article, it's been a few months now, but it stuck with me because it was so funny. But it was talking about, Carlo Ancelotti and Madrid, and it said former Everton manager Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah, but this is exactly the point. Like, why does that not get brought up or every time Ancelotti wins something? Like, until you said that, I'd forgot he was even at Everton. Why is it not every time Ancelotti wins something? Why is Everton not brought up? Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me the way that how out of proportion this is all blown. He came, he tried it, it didn't work. We sacked him. We all moved on. End of story.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't really understand it either, but it is what it is, right? I mean, it's going to keep happening.
Yeah, but that to me that made the defeat at the weekend even worse because of that. Because I knew what was coming afterwards. And let's be fair, it's a game we completely outplayed them in. I mean, they had that. Someone said to me in a WhatsApp group I'm in, "Oh, that first half was end to end." No, it wasn't. They had one shot, which was the goal, after like 4 minutes or whatever it was. We battered them. We just couldn't score. We missed some massive chances. There were some more bad refereeing decisions that I really don't want to get into. Have you got any interest really in rehashing these, the elbow to the face and the goal and all that? Is there anything you want to say on it? Because I'm kind of done with the referees. But if you want to talk about it, then you can go ahead.
No, I don't.
No, I don't either. I'm just
bored beating a dead horse.
Yeah, I'm bored of talking about it now. We know there were bad refereeing decisions there. Have you heard anything yet about Arteta and this FA charge from Newcastle? Because apparently today they were supposed to be announcing whatever it was that they were going to do.
So I'm not gonna lie, I've been a little bit out of the football sphere for the last week or so. I've tried to catch the games when I can, but I'm not near as up to date as I try to be before we do a podcast. I've not seen anything on it personally. My apologies.
No, I don't think the reason I was asking is I don't think anything has come out yet, but they said it was going to be today, but I think they've changed their mind. I mean, I know there's a conspiracy theory out there that all this is designed to drag it out so he's banned from the touchline at Anfield, which doesn't make much sense to me because I think it's more compelling TV to have Klopp and Arteta on the sideline rather than off.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like anything's come out yet. I certainly haven't seen anything anywhere.
No, yeah, I mean, most of the stuff I'm seeing is like 5 days ago, news from 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like anything's come of it yet.
So we'll wait and see that. Did you see the referee get attacked in Turkey at the weekend?
I did. Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff. And did you see who made the comment about it?
Peter Walton.
Yep. Yeah.
Came out and said that it was basically Mikel Arteta and Jurgen Klopp's fault that it happened.
Yeah,
which is an interesting take there by Peter Walton, I've got to say.
Yeah, I saw that and was pretty annoyed. I don't know. I really don't know what's the deal with Arteta.
I don't. You know what? I don't even think Arteta has said anything particularly bad. I mean, De Zerbi's comments were far worse than anything Arteta said. Arteta, I mean, I don't know what he's done that he's so bad, but they've had it in from him since the start. I mean, look at the Charity Shield. They were looking for that booking in the Charity Shield, and sure enough, they give him a booking.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like Klopp, has been way more egregious with I mean, I don't mean like this season, but just in his career. And they're all...
so as Pochettino. He's gone at refs. I mean, it's not unusual for it to happen, but they really have marked Arteta with this, and I do think we may be suffering a little bit for it. I remember at the time, and I was like, no, of course not. Like, you know, why would they mark us out because of that? But I do now wonder if they have.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, down to everything, even just his, you know, his animation on the touchline is too much. His celebrating victories or goals is too much. I mean, he can't do anything.
No, I mean, the booking that he got at Luton was an absolute disgrace. I mean, that is, to me, that says that is a fraternity of referees that are looking out for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe that 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, his card's been marked and that's it. And that could be a problem for us going forward. And I don't know now that it can be fixed. I think we've just got to deal with the consequences at this point.
Yeah, same. I mean, it probably will be a little bit of a handicap. I feel like it already kind of has been, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but it's got to be, it's just another reason why we have to be better.
Yeah, we do. And to bring it back round to this weekend, it's Brighton at home. This is definitely a must-win game now after the weekend's results. Man United go to Anfield, they're not getting anything there. I mean, let's be honest, the only thing they're getting from there is an absolute tanning. So I can't see anything other than a big win for Liverpool coming there. And then Manchester City play Crystal Palace at home. So we absolutely have to beat Brighton at home. There's no ifs or buts about it.
Yeah, agreed. I was wondering though, do you want to have a quick laugh at United, or are we above that? I mean,
you know what? I'm more concerned at this point because I'm really concerned that they're going to sack Ten Hag, and I'm really enjoying it. I think there's an argument that us, Manchester City and Liverpool should all get together and agree to drop one game against them this year, right? So Liverpool agree, because I'm worried if Liverpool beat him 7-0, he's going to get the sack. So I think Liverpool should agree to drop points. And if they'll do that, then I think us and Manchester City should also agree to drop points against him at some point, just to try and keep him in the job.
I mean, it will pay off in the long run. That's for sure. But I was talking to a couple of my mates, and you know, it's tough. Like, I don't want to make this about United, but I mean, if they sack him, I don't know where they go from here. You know, like, he came in, tried to stamp his authority, you know, change the culture, you know, and he's just failed at every mark. He's fallen out with players. They have no style of play. They're out of the Champions League. They probably won't get top 4. I mean, most definitely. I don't know where they go even with him, but without him, I mean.
The one I heard today is that they've already spoken to Julen Lopetegui, the old Wolves manager. They've already spoken to him about taking over. So I don't know. We'll see what comes of that. I agree with you. I don't know where they turn after this. The thing is, they've tried everything, right? Like they let Ferguson pick his successor, so they went with Moyes. It didn't work with Moyes, so what do? Bring in a man who's won a load of European Cups and stuff. They brought in Van Gaal. That didn't work. Okay, let's bring in a man that's experienced in the Premier League, that's won the Premier League. They bring in Mourinho. That didn't work. So let's go for the exciting new thing. So they go and get Ten Hag, whose Ajax team were ripping it up. That hasn't worked. So I agree with you. You feel like there's something broken at that club, right? You feel like there's something rotten there. And I've felt like this with us before now. The last 5 years of the Wenger era, I felt like that all the way through, really, until we finally got rid of everyone, literally everyone that stood between Josh and the manager. Everybody went. Sanyehi went. Yeah. You know, we went through every single director, and we ended up coming out of it with Arteta and Edu. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if United have to do something similar, and I don't know if they can. And I also don't know they can live through it, because everyone loves the idea of a rebuild until they're living through a rebuild.
Yeah. Well, look at Chelsea right now. I feel like they've made a lot of changes. They're going young. They're trying something with the long contracts, whatever. But I mean, you know, I still have my doubts on if they're going to show the patience here. They're already on their, third manager?
Yeah, I think Pochettino will get the sack, but I actually think he's going to outlast Ten Hag. I think
I do too.
Pochettino. Yeah, I think Pochettino is going to last into March or April, and
Yeah.
I just don't see Ten Hag lasting that long. I think if Man United might give Ten Hag the FA Cup, right? Like they're not going to win the title. They're obviously out of Europe completely. So maybe they give him the FA Cup, and once they're out of the FA Cup, then bomb him out. I don't know. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting now.
Yeah. I think he's pretty much dead man walking. I'm expecting votes of confidence probably coming out today, tomorrow.
Yeah, I think a big defeat at the weekend, and that's probably the end.
Yeah. Are they at Anfield too? I haven't checked.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Well, I don't know. I mean, at least it'll be funny.
Yeah, I mean it'll be fun for us.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be much fun for them on national TV and worldwide TV getting smashed like that.
Yeah, probably not.
And obviously, it would be incredibly beneficial for us if they could pull off a miracle and get something. But I mean, the very fact that we're talking about it like this just shows you what a bad state that they're in. Because Manchester United going anywhere, and you're saying, "My God, it could be 7." Like that don't seem right.
Yeah, and I actually, for the first time in a while, they've been down since Fergie for the most part, and I always had this kind of inevitable feeling that they'd bounce back, and this time I'm really just like, man, if they don't absolutely gut the club and start over, I see them kind of not relegated.
Even then, you've got to start over, right? Because like you brought up Chelsea, and I think you're right too, because I think it's comparable. Chelsea tried to gut it and start again, and I think they've completely butchered it. I thought at the time when they were making all these signings that it was utter madness, and I think what they've done now. I mean, I'm already hearing that players want out, and they've told their agents to find them a new club, but of course they can't find a new club because they've got 8-year contracts. Chelsea don't want to pay them up. The clubs, no one wants to buy them with the contracts that they're on. So I don't know where they go from here. So that's an example. Everyone points at us, right? This is Rio Ferdinand was doing it on Twitter. This is, Arteta finished 8th twice and Arsenal kept faith. But what everyone fails to realise is that they kept faith with Arteta because you could see an improvement, right? And I do think that had we not had the COVID time, then Arteta would have been out the door. But between the COVID time and the fact that we improved after that, the end of that season, that then bought him the time to start the next season. And then obviously we had the progression of the year that we finished 5th. That's what earned him the time. We didn't just stick with him to stick with him. And I think people keep pointing at that, and it's not necessarily applicable to everybody. Not everybody is Mikel Arteta, and not every club is Arsenal.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm hearing a lot of that with Ten Hag specifically at United. That if they just give him a little more time, but I'm seeing regression with them, not really improvement, and I'm seeing them fall out with $100 million players.
And look at it this way as well. One of the reasons we had this movement towards youth, but we hit on 90% of our transfers. I don't know that that's replicable. Like what we did in 2 years with those transfers is not normal. It's not normal to have the hit rate that we had. And if you look at Ten Hag's transfers, it's almost the inverse. Nearly every one of the players he's brought in has failed. So just giving someone more time is not the answer.
Yeah, definitely. And it really shows too. I mean, I've got to give way more credit to, Edu and co, because what they've done in the transformation of the club is just nothing short of amazing, and I know we've talked about this 100 times, but just, when you see it now, you see these other, big clubs struggling to even do, half of what we did, in what, three seasons. It's just, it's insane, mate. Insane.
Yeah, no, it is. I think we were incredibly fortunate that we basically stumbled through a really bad period, and we ended up, I think we hit a little bit lucky with Arteta and Edu, to be honest. And I think the pair of them also hit a little bit lucky in the fact that, like I said, I don't think that the success rate that they had with transfers is normal. I don't think that's something that you can keep going with forever. So I just, I don't think it's exactly a replicable formula. And I'm grateful that it happened to us when it did.
And having the emergence of Saka right there too.
Yeah,
You know what
and
I mean?
Martin
It's
and
just-
Martinelli.
In Martinelli, yeah.
You know, that saved us a lot. And Saliba was there as well. I know he was on loan for a couple of years, but he's he kicked us on again. So there's a lot of stuff there that it's not as simple as we'll just give your manager time because look at what happened with Arteta. That may not happen for you. But I'm all for him giving him some more time.
Yeah, I mean
5 years would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I feel like he's probably a little bit lost,
Yeah,
And I noticed.
I think the end's coming there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Okay, mate. All right. Well, listen. Let's leave that there for tonight. I know you've got a ton of stuff to do in a new country, but we'll try and get back on maybe over the weekend or at the start of next week, and catch up with what goes on. Until then, enjoy the new country, mate. And I will speak to you after we play Brighton.
All right, sounds good, mate. Have a good night.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.